This video is sponsored by Ground News. First, we had a US national strategy report that claimed Europe was facing civilizational erasure. Then Elon Musk came along, calling the European Union to be abolished. And then came the strongest attack yet, from President Trump himself.
They're not doing a good job. Europe is not doing a good job in many ways. Most European nations, they're decaying. They're decaying. They talk, but they don't produce. And the war just keeps going on and on. I also think that they want to be so politically correct. I think they don't know what to do. Europe doesn't know what to do. I think they're weak.
No, Mr. President, Europe is not weak, and Washington knows that. That's exactly why the US administration wants to divide us, break up the EU, pick off member states one by one, and turn a united Europe into something easy to control. 27 loyal vassals. People like Musk, Vance, and Trump believe a weaker Europe means a stronger America. And we cannot let that happen. We have to fight back. This right here is Italy, a country of 59 million people and a GDP of $2.6 trillion. And this right here is the United States, 343 million people and $31 trillion GDP, a completely different scale. And that very imbalance makes the relationship very comfortable for the United States. When one side is this big, it can influence, pressure, and sometimes even bully. Would Italy alone really take on big tech with major fines or strict regulation? Probably not. And remember, there are 26 more countries in the European Union, just like Italy. All great nations, no doubt, with their own strengths, but none of them, on their own, can compare to the weight of the US economy. Now, this right here is the European Union. 27 countries that decided to pool some of their power into one common structure: trade, parts of foreign policy, and big tech regulation. Together, this bloc is 450 million people with $21 trillion in GDP. Suddenly, the United States isn't facing Italy or Belgium or any other European member state. It's facing a competitor of a similar size. And that's exactly why the Trump administration in the US hates the EU. The US wants to access our markets, our consumers, our data. And the only thing standing between American companies and unlimited access is the European Union, an institution built to defend Europeans. And the Trumps, Vances, and Musks really just don't like that. And the tension has only grown now that the EU is finally fighting back, especially against big tech. This year alone, the EU has issued massive fines for breaking European tech rules. Apple, 500 million euros. Meta, 200 million. Google, 2.95 million, and most recently, Musk's X with 120 million euros. And just look at how this story gets reported. In Europe alone, Ground News tracked 475 different sources covering this exact topic. Around 71 leaning left, 78 leaning right, and about 82 sitting right in the center. And when you compare how they frame the EU's 120 million euro fine on X, you can see the split almost immediately. Left-leaning outlets describe it as a legitimate consequence for breaking content rules or hosting hate speech, and right-leaning outlets frame it as an assault on free speech, a censorship law, or the work of globalist technocratic authoritarians. Two different narratives based on one big tech fine. And that difference, not from politicians, but from the news reporting itself, is exactly where Ground News becomes so useful. Their platform lets you see how the same story is reported across the political spectrum, so you don't get stuck inside one narrative. And there are so many other features too. You can follow your favorite topics with a single tap, or check out Blind Spot, which highlights stories that are overreported by one side and completely ignored by the other. If you'd like to try it, you can get 40% off the Vantage plan using the link in the description or the QR code on the screen right now. Alright, back to the video. As you saw, the reaction to X's fine has been insane, especially from none other than Elon Musk himself, who has gone to new extremes on X, saying that the EU needs to be abolished and that sovereignty needs to be returned to individual countries. He also agreed with a rather peculiar post that claimed that the EU was like the Fourth Reich. A very ridiculous insult, considering it was the EU that helped end centuries of European conflict. I mean, how much clearer can this story be? The EU finds X, and Musk immediately calls for the dissolution of the European Union. He says it's about sovereignty, free speech, but really, is it? I doubt he even knows how the EU actually works. And when you look at global free speech rankings, European countries sit comfortably at the top. Meanwhile, in Russia, most Western platforms aren't even allowed to operate. So if this is truly all about free speech, why aren't Americans like Musk going after Russia? Instead, we have the former Russian president jumping onto X to endorse Musk's comments. And also have a look at press freedom rankings. Europe dominates the top spots. The United States sits at around 56th place. Ouch, maybe Mr. Musk really has to look inward first. No. At EU Made Simple, we don't think it's about free speech or sovereignty. The culture war language is just like a wrapper for something that actually drives all of this. Business, money, economic power. The EU is a genuine threat to American corporate interests, as it's one of the only global actors capable of regulating US tech giants. And it's finally using that power to protect our market and our people. And there's a lot more too. The European Union is pushing back on multiple fronts. Take trade diversification, deals with Mercosur, India, Indonesia, all edging closer to completion. If these land, they will reshape global trade, and the US loses one of its biggest advantages, Europe's dependence on its market. And at the same time, the EU is strengthening itself internally. Next year, Europe is rolling out major reforms to deepen the single market. Things like the Savings and Investment Union, designed to unlock European capital for European companies. And the new 28th regime, making it easier for businesses to operate and scale across borders inside the EU. And in the eyes of Mr. Trump, this is simply not in America's interest. And this brings us to geopolitics. A strong European Union reduces American geopolitical control, and we see this most clearly in Europe's support for Ukraine. Europe is now the biggest supporter of Ukraine, financially, militarily, and politically. And honestly, we have never seen this level of European unity on such a major issue. Meanwhile, Trump has been trying to force through a peace deal from the moment he returned to power. And let's be clear here. If it weren't for Ukraine's incredible resilience and Europe's massive support, that plan would have already happened, and Russia would be the clear winner of the war. And of course, this isn't in Trump's interests. He wants the Nobel Peace Prize, and he very much wants to do business with Russia. And once again, the pesky European Union is standing in the way. And the easiest way to turn 27 countries into loyal vassals is to weaken or destroy the very institution that keeps them united. Imagine 27 separate nations, each spending billions on their militaries, each negotiating alone, each desperate for American protection and American military equipment. Who benefits here? The United States of America. And that's why we think the US is so enthusiastic about certain nationalist parties in Europe. Take the AfD in Germany. They openly call for the end of the European Union and already behave like political vassals of Donald Trump. On the very day this video went live, AfD politicians were in America, meeting senior Republicans right at the moment when the US administration has basically abandoned and insulted Europe in the most extreme ways. I mean, how unpatriotic can you get? Nonetheless, the EU is fighting back. Ukraine is being heavily supported, and Europe is standing its ground when it comes to any so-called peace deal. We're simply not folding. But it goes beyond Ukraine. Europe is finally starting to do more together in defense. More EU-level spending through SAFE, more joint European projects, and more coordination instead of 27 countries all running in different directions. And this is precisely what Washington doesn't want. For certain parts of the American political spectrum, a weaker EU is simply a stronger United States. This is what I think. I think in the last week, we've once again seen, and this time clearly on paper with America's strategy report, that the US has no interest in building a strong alliance with the European Union. In fact, they want to break it. And I really believe they don't want to break it because of freedom of speech or because of sovereignty of nations or because of migration. No, I think they want to break it because it's in their economic interest, or at least that's what the Trump administration thinks. And that is why we really need to fight back. And thank God we actually are. And I also think we really have to realize as Europeans of how proud we can be of our continent. Let's look at something like our values, which I know can sound a bit fluffy and many people are tired of hearing about. But look at our social contract. Look at how we look after people who are ill. We have free healthcare. Look at our education. People can all go and study in university for free mainly. And look at our safety too. Our roads are very, very safe and we don't have the gun crime that's happening in the US. Our continent is genuinely something we can be proud of. And this way of life that we have here, we need to protect. The only way we can protect this is together, as 27 nations working together. And the US knows this. A united EU has the biggest single market in the world, bigger than the US one. We have more people in our union. Together, we also have the regulatory strength to really protect our people from these big tech companies in the US, which are currently dominating public discourse through all of our countries. And of course, together as 27 countries, we have real military power. We can have a voice in NATO and actually protect our interests internally and abroad. Yes, the EU is actually doing something, but of course, this channel always advocates for more. We need one foreign policy, we need to remove the veto, and we need to build a European defense structure. Those three things are my priorities, as you've probably noticed in all of our videos, and I really hope Europe gets it done soon. Thank you so much for watching. And if you want to dig deeper into media bias and understand how stories are being framed, check out our sponsor, Ground News. You can get the Unlimited Access Vantage plan with 40% off by using the link in the description or scanning the QR code on the screen. And if you want to see how Europe is fighting back by building more competitive startups, check out the video right here. Or if you're interested in how Europe is already implementing parts of the Draghi report to boost Europe's competitiveness, you can watch the video right here. Thanks for watching, and a special thank you to all of our presidents. Jan Schauke, Christian Peter, Alexander, Daniel, Expedia, GVD, Kiki, Loxen, Rashid, Stefan, Unite Europe, and Europe. See you in the next video.